In this week's episode of
The Ins and Outs Podcast.
You know, when somebody says, "What do?" You want to be proud of the thing you say you do. So make it something you want to do. Don't misunderstand me there. But it's not that big of a goddamn deal. If I said I'm a policeman, I'm a insurance man, I'm a radio disc jockey, it doesn't really matter. Whatever it is, stick with it and then give it your very best. Be the best you can be at that.
Amen.
Now that is my advice, straight up. That's it. Yeah.
Amen.
enjoy the episode.
Episode 11, Ins and Outs Podcast. We have had a night tonight, haven't we, Spellman?
We have. It has been a crazy one.
We have had to try and get so many people on the pod. We've been struggling, but you know who clutched up for us?
Britt Brown.
That is true.
Yep.
Britt Brown clutched the ultimate gentleman. Shout out to the man.
Shout out to him.
I hope you guys really, really like the episode. It's a banger. Me and Britt and Spellman get into some crazy topics.
Yep.
He has a lot of advice, that man.
He does.
He does.
Some good takes.
I hope you guys enjoy it.
Enjoy.
Episode 11, Ins and Outs Podcast. I'm Cole Brown.
I'm Matthew Spellman.
Today we're here with...
Britt Brown.
There he is.
He's here.
The gentleman.
Yep.
Usually we say... What do we usually say when we get on? The boy, the girl,
Yep.
something. But no, this time it's different. The gentleman.
Yep. The gentleman is here.
I like that. I would have said the old man. It'd be fine either way.
Old man, but not in a negative connotation. Rather good.
No,
Yep.
no. Hey, listen, when you get old, you'll realize old is not negative. You've earned it. You've gotten somewhere.
All right. Yeah.
The first topic I want to start off with, Dad, is how you know us, okay? Mine might be a little bit obvious to the people who know us, but if you don't know it, like if the audience who doesn't know us, how do you know us?
Yeah. Well, you are obvious.
Why?
Well, being my son and everything.
There it is.
And now we're 17, 18 years down the road together. So I know more about you than I would ever tell anybody. But as far as Matt, well, one of your bros, schoolmates, teammates, trusted pal, running buddy, any of those things. But no, he's a bloke I've come to have some regard for, definitely,
Yeah.
Respect,
it's
man.
Good. It's good to know you, Britt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did your guys' relationship start? I guess just you coming over to the house during freshman year or something?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. When I came over here, like when you guys first moved here,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously when you're subbing at the school.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I remember I met a bunch of people at one time, and many of them have gone. Some are still, out there in the ether, but many have just I never see them anymore. But Matt's been one who has lingered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been around. I've been here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't you have anywhere to go, dude?
I do. I got places that I'm.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, when we first started, no one knew us because we were new, whatever. But now you've kind of become sort of like an icon, with the Ins and Outs podcast, at least. You're the logo, the face of the brand right now.
Yeah.
Before we get our new logo that's coming out. But one of them does involve you, but I haven't showed you yet because you don't have it. But
Yeah.
how do you feel being the mascot, kind of, the effort we're going on here?
Well, I'm fine with it. First of all, it's your project, and so any way you want to use me is fine. I know when we originally were conceiving this, the idea that you and I, with this great gap of age, would be able to talk about things, and it made sense to use my image. But now that you're really interviewing all kinds of people, if you still want to use my image, it's fine. I have no problem with it. I was asking a girl in school the other day because I am substituting at the high school, and I was asking a girl the other day because I really wanted some clarification because I heard somebody throwing out the idea about memes, and I've certainly heard that term. I'm not an ignoramus. It's just I was a little bit confused about what does that mean, and basically after she explained it to me a little bit, I realized that image of me is sort of a meme.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that though. It's more of a symbol.
Yeah, I think it's more symbolic than kind of meme culture.
Yeah, meme culture is like kind of making like
Poking fun.
Yeah, poking fun at the person, right? Or like making a joke out of the person.
Well, when I look at the picture that you guys posted, I mean, you're kind of making fun a little bit.
It is a little bit. Fair enough. But it's more of like the attention that it grabs.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
yeah.
I don't care what it is. I just, I was trying to get clarification from.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess you could call it a meme, I guess. But
Yeah.
I mean, it might fall under that term, but I know no young person would ever call it a meme.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it might fall under that category.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dad, you have a lot of advice because of your age, of the experiences that you've had.
Yeah.
Tonight, I know people aren't going to know this watching this podcast, but we have had a lot of trouble getting somebody on.
Yeah.
Tonight, Spellman showed up at what time? 6:30?
Yeah, right around there.
After a long day at work. Shout out to you.
So, yeah, thank you. So about 2 hours 2 hours before we're currently filming this.
Yes, and we had some person, okay, I'm holding back my anger here, cancel on us, okay, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then we went on an entire journey to try and get more people and more people and more people. So many people want to get on the pod, and then we send them the invite. They don't get on.
Yeah, I know.
But, no hate to y'all, no hate to the people who we hit up, but
It's because they can't get on in the spur of the moment.
Exactly true. We got to set it up better. But we did set it up good.
Yeah, we did set it up good. We usually do.
Well, let me just weigh in with this
Yes.
observation.
Yep.
You're going to have a lifetime of experiences of assessing the fact that a lot of people are not go-getters and they don't jump on opportunities, and they have to be babied along and then asked again, and then maybe even asked a third time. So that kind of disappointment of people like not coming through for you, that's life. That is really life. And so you might as well get used to it, because my only suggestion would be have a couple of backups. And then when you do ask somebody, just underscore it and say, hey guys, I'm not asking you over to a goddamn bouncy house. This is a serious endeavor, and I need you to be there at such and such a time, and kind of let them know it's purposeful. We're not just getting together having coffee. That way, if they let you down, you won't be asking them again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not being hardball. It's just, some things are more serious than others.
It's having a strong foundation in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also was thinking about how I think we should get like a non-disclosure agreement and have people sign it, because I make clips sometimes, and then I always ask the person like, yo, can I post this? But I think I should get a non-disclosure, so like if somebody's on, like it's signing, like we have the permission to make clips out of you, put it as we want, and maybe we can do like in 48 hours once the clip has been posted, if you want us to take it down, we can. But
hey, sounds good.
after that, if it's been 49 hours or 5 days from now, and then you want us to remove it, like it's on us to.
Oh, hey,
it's like our right to or not.
That sounds great. Right now, there's 49,000 lawyers nodding their head, saying, yeah, good boy, good idea.
Or they're saying not because they want the job.
Haha.
Blame
Well,
Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
yeah. No,
yeah.
but I think it's smart to get people's approval before you do things, if you can,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't run into many issues with that. We're on episode 11, and by the time we hit episode 40 or something, there's going to be more issues that arise
Sure.
from this.
Yeah.
So it's like better just cut it and have some and make them sign it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it protects us too. It protects everybody, and it gives us the freedom to make the content we
Gotcha.
we want. So more to the advice deal. I know we're going on advice, but a lot of kids that we know that in my life are either seniors just out of high school or a year after, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what advice do you have for the people who are considering like kind of college, the workforce, army? Do you have any advice? Like go back to when you were kind of young, and how did you make the choice to do what you did?
Sure. Well, it's a pretty big subject, and I certainly don't want to get preachy, and I certainly don't want to say that how I did it is the best way or anything. I was sort of caught in a stream, and I was more like a leaf on the stream, and I flowed along. High school ended. I'm supposed to go to college. My brother was already at college. In this case, it was in Austin. I went down there. I really didn't have a good plan. And so life will make that plan for you, is what I'll tell anybody. Whatever you think you're going to do, it won't work out that way. So it's okay to have a plan, but just understand it's not going to go down that way. You might start out that way, but things will happen, and they're supposed to, and you might even stay on that road for a while, but it'll shift, and you'll have to adjust. My biggest advice to anybody is really boring, and that is I know is really boring, and that is it's not that important what you do. What's important is you pick something that you have an interest in, and you need to like it. Okay, don't ever pick something you don't like, but it's something you like, you think you like. That's good enough. It has a viable future in your mind financially. And just suit up and show up and stay with it long enough. What is long enough? 2 years.
That's short in the big team.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how many people bounce around and don't stay with anything. Give whatever it is you want to do a couple of years. And those couple of years, don't just be there, but really give it. Be there and be involved with it. After 2 years, you're going to know if it's right for you or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to have wasted your life like, oh my God, I spent 10 years at that job and I hate that. No. Just give it a couple years, though. But if you jump into it and then you say, I hate this, and then you jump out of it and you jump into something else and you hate it, you're going to follow a path a lot of people do, which is they look up and they're 47 years old and they haven't stayed anywhere very long. And they have this long list of employment, and really nobody really is overly proud of what they've done. They're just like, well, I just kept chasing, a few more dollars or a different schedule. So pick something you like. Give it a couple years. That's my best advice. It's not that important if you say, I want to be a photographer, I want to be a rodeo clown, I want to be an army guy. Those things matter, but not like I used to think they did.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of maybe not unconventional, but kind of like obscure advice to kind of what everybody thinks. Like, they think that they need to chase their passion, find the thing that's like most insanely valuable, like their calling, kind of. But you're kind of saying something different. You're like, it doesn't really matter what you do. You just kind of have to stick with it.
But no, it does matter to you what you do, because it's when somebody says, "What do?" You want to be proud of the thing you say you do. So make it something you want to do. Don't misunderstand me there. But it's not that big of a goddamn deal. If I said I'm a policeman, I'm a insurance man, I'm a radio disc jockey, it doesn't really matter.
Just
Whatever it is, stick with it, and then give it your very best. Be the best you can be at that.
Amen.
Now that is my advice, straight up. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen to that. That's great advice.
Yeah. Because even if the money doesn't work out, and you find yourself short $800 every month, it's just not working out financially, if you like it, you're not going to sweat that. You're going to be like, okay, but I'm, hey, Mom, it's going to get better kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you also don't like what you do, well, now it's a disaster.
It's a terrible disaster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great advice for sure. I like that take.
Here, Spellman, you go. Give him a little nice question.
Okay.
It's been advice. Now we're gonna go back to the better questions. Well, not better, but just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Huh.
So back in your day, right?
In my day.
Back in your prime,
Mm-hmm.
what are some things that were like topics, like things people talked about, or things that happened that are now controversial, but they wouldn't have been back then?
Well, the whole role of men and women back then, boys and girls, what they did, what they were expected to do, what they wore, what they looked like, all that, it's controversial today. It wasn't back then. Certainly the whole racial thing, it just wasn't controversial. Oh, there was, you know, things going on in the news,
Yeah.
and it was, you know, race riots and things, but in sort of, I don't know, just suburbia America, people just, it just didn't seem to be a big issue like it is now. I'm not saying it wasn't going on. I know it was, but now everything is just loaded with, you know, importance and scrutiny and meaning, and it's made life, I think, harder to navigate. But I mean, it's all important. You know?
I want to ask that. That makes me think of a question. So, when did Martin Luther King die? Was he?
I think it was 68, wasn't it?
Something like that. Wait, do you like? And did he ever like go to Dallas where you lived at all, or no?
No, but you know, I mean, he probably did. But I did go to the motel in Memphis where he was shot. You know, but that's not what this podcast is about. But I just mean my biggest thing having to do with that era was I was alive when Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. I was in the fifth grade.
And you lived in Dallas.
Yeah, I was in. I'll never forget as long as I live. I was in school, and my everybody was very excited. You know, anybody who paid attention to the little town or the town I lived in, it was a big deal. So if Frank Sinatra came to town, it'd be a big deal. I mean, the president coming. I mean, come on. But I always remember that they announced on the little loudspeaker that was mounted on the wall that school was going to be let go for the day. And this was like 11 in the morning or something. And I always remember, too, that my teacher, it was art class, she started crying. And I'd never seen an adult cry in my life. And it was a very terrifying thing. And so I was alive then. You know, it was just... So Martin Luther King's one thing, but when I really think about the 60s, I always have to say that was really seminal. And then, of course, I'm home, school's out, Dad's working, you know, Mom's in the kitchen, sounds like a John Prine song, and I'm watching black and white television and by myself, and I see Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated live on television, and I'm in this room, and I went and got my mother. I said, the guy who shot Kennedy just got shot. Well, my mother was just so freaked. You know, it was just one of those times where who knew what was going to happen next?
Yeah.
It was pretty scary. You know, it's pretty scary times, really.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't think these times, even though these times are very portentous and certainly scary on their own level, I'm not afraid of these times because I've been afraid when I was little, and it just, you can't scare me again like that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I kind of got off subject. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No. I think that's interesting. Well,
Yeah.
The most interesting thing I thought from that was you were the only one in the house that saw Lee Harvey Oswald get shot.
Yeah, I was watching television alone.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that is.
Because like to us, that just a name, and to so many people who like don't have kind of older parents, no one really knows. Or they know it happened, but like they don't like remember it that vividly.
But you know, here's the thing. You guys are older than I was at that time, but you're going to start thinking about things differently. You're going to be faced with things like that, and you're going to have to become an adult really fast in your mind.
Yeah.
Even though you're not. I mean, you guys are kind of adults now.
Yeah.
But you're certainly not an adult at 10 or 11. But you have to start thinking about things that way. And it's really hard to do that for some people. Other people, it's no problem. They just don't think much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're a thoughtful person and you think a lot, you know, there's a lot to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a choice to worry. You know, I see so many people nowadays with like, it was talked about. I talked about on the podcast one time, kind of guys I hate for it, but it's like the anxiety and depression thing. Like it's a choice to have like a lot of worry, unnecessary worry, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think it's woven into our DNA. We are or we aren't worriers.
Mm.
And I don't think you're a worrier from what I know of you. And I don't think, Spellman, I don't think you're a worrier.
Not extremely. No.
Yeah. And I know my wife's not a worrier.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you never think about something and be concerned. I just mean I'm a worrier.
Yeah.
And so a worrier's life is pretty hard
Yeah.
because there's so much on your mind all the time.
Yeah.
My dad was a worrier. He comes from Scotland and Ireland, and they're very brooding
Yeah.
and very
What does that mean?
they're melancholy inside. They're kind of
Plain?
No, a little bit sad, a little bit blue, a little bit worried, a little bit can't really relax completely. So I get that from
kind of
him.
high strung.
Oh,
maybe?
I guess so. Yeah.
Would that be a good term for it or no?
High strung sounds a little too hyper.
I see.
You're just not relaxed.
Yeah.
You just cannot. That's why people like that tend to overdo things because they're trying to find that relax.
Yeah.
So they might over exercise. They might over smoke. They might over drink. They might overeat. They're just kind of looking for a way to like take the foot off the gas a little bit.
Here, I think you may need to turn your mic to make the Audio Technica thing face you. But
Okay, yep.
that's better. What about the scariest moment of your life? Was it that like assassination deal, or like what was the scariest moment of like your life?
Wow, that's pretty tough, I think
The ESPN notification in the background. I don't know if y'all heard that. What do you think's been the most scary?
Well, I have more than one.
Oh no, scary time.
But, yeah. But I almost drowned once. That was probably my scariest time.
Mm-hmm.
And if it hadn't been for a friend of mine, I wouldn't be here. And of course, you wouldn't be here.
Oh, I've heard this story before. Ty Dabney, that's his name.
Yeah.
Tell me that one. You fell off a boat, right?
We didn't fall off a boat. We jumped out of a boat to get cool on a hot summer's day in the middle of a lake. And we didn't anchor the boat, and we didn't bring the sheet down. It was a sailboat.
Oh, dummy.
Well, there was no wind. We'd been becalmed for like an hour or two. Super hot. College. Beer.
Yeah. Just a combination of things.
Yeah, that alignment of the planets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but then a little breeze came up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then the boat took off. And we're all in the water. And of course you swim for it. You're like, hey, it's no problem. And you swim for it, and then the boat's further away. And then you swim, and it's further away. And then you start looking at the shoreline, you realize there's no way I can get to that shoreline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, one of the three of us, it's very much kind of like movies or something. One of the three of us was a really strong swimmer, swam in high school. And he swam, got to the boat. Short of the short version of the story was able to turn the boat around. First of all, I don't even know how to sail a boat. So if I'd gotten to the boat, I don't know how I would have known to turn it around. A motorboat, sure. But a sailboat? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he was able to sail it back to us and get us just in the nick of time. But I remember I put my face down in the water, and I was so tired that I was thinking, how bad can this be,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Could you have floated? Like,
I tried. I was a Boy Scout once upon a time, but funny thing about skills,
when you need them, they're gone.
well, not for
Sometimes.
everybody, but for me, I panic sometimes.
Yeah.
And I forget all the things I know.
Yeah.
So how long were you in the water before you had to, or before he came and got you? How long?
It'd be hard for me to say. I'd say 30 good minutes.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
That's why I say I was about to give it up because I'd been, doing that paddling and
just floating and
yeah.
that's nuts.
That is pretty insane.
Was it like a still lake though? Like was it-
completely becalmed, 100% still. Yeah.
Oh shit! Dude. How far away was the shore? You think like a mile or something, or
At least.
at least?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a big lake.
Yeah, it was a big lake.
That's pretty.
But I've had other scary experiences, but you're going to have your own. And sometimes when you relate them, people will say, "What's so scary about that?" I don't know. When you're the person, things scare you sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even when we drive and you get through an intersection, and just as you pass through the intersection, somebody runs the red light, and just behind you, he comes screaming through the intersection at 70 miles an hour, and you realize, had I gone ever so slightly slower, he'd have killed me. He'd have run right into me. That's scary. Do you pull
Yeah.
over and start crying? No. But you wear that for a while. You're thinking, wow, that was scary.
Yeah.
I've had some scary stuff like that. Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
How about you, Spellman? My dad's been talking a lot. So how about you? Have you ever had any scary ass moments in your life? If so, what?
Let's think. So like scary like that. I don't have any kind of stories like that, like he just told. But
Like we're about to die. Yeah.
Okay. I might get a little clowned for this, but that's okay. One time I was 7 years old, 7 or 8 years old, and I was sitting there at the breakfast table, and eating a piece of bacon, and I didn't chew the bacon well enough. I start choking on this bacon. Airway completely blocked. I can't breathe. I'm like making like noises, right? Like trying to tell my parents that I'm like choking on this bacon, and my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, are you choking?" Like asking me if I'm choking. Like obviously, yeah, I am choking, and I'm like thinking in my mind, "Holy crap! Like I can't breathe. Like I am gonna die." Like it felt like that.
Sure.
And thankfully, my stepdad knew the Heimlich maneuver.
Heimlich, yeah.
Yep. And he came over and he did it and got the bacon dislodged from my airway, and it was pretty scary. Like 7 years old, like that close to legitimately like choking to death. Like
Yeah.
I just started crying. 'Cause
Sure.
It was like
Sure.
that was insane.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
I didn't eat bacon for months, to be honest with you. After that,
Sure.
I love bacon now, but
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
traumatic bacon experience, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know regarding myself. I don't know if I had any kind of like near death experiences. Dad, do you remember any from me?
I don't.
I had an allergic reaction one time, but I don't remember it.
Yes, but it wasn't near death or anything.
Let's see. Have I ever been the feeling of like losing your parent in the store when you're like 5 years old?
yeah.
That's pretty damn scary.
Oh, yeah, it is. I remember. So you guys, like Kyron Horman.
No,
You know
no,
the
I
guy. Have you heard about that?
I know the name.
Well, he's like the kid that went missing when he's like 7 years old, and I think it was near like in Portland area.
Oh, that's right.
And he like nobody ever knows where he went, right?
That's right.
And I remember being like, he was like a year older than I was,
Oh, wait,
or
so
that I am.
did you know him or?
No. He's just like
It
this
was in the
big
news. It was a big news story.
Yeah, like a big, huge news story.
Oh,
And
okay.
And I remember thinking like, if my parent I remember being like 7 years old when that happened, and my parent if they like left me in the store for like 1 second, like I thought it was like that was gonna happen to me. That was actually like, that's kind of like the assassination thing you were talking about. Like seeing that on the news kind of freaks you out at that age, and you're like,
Sure.
yeah, I don't know. That was just a random thought I had.
No. Related. It's related.
Yeah.
Very much so. I forgot all about that story, but I was working in the Portland area at that time, and it really had the front page for the longest time.
For a while. Yeah.
And yeah, that's why that was horrifying.
Uh-huh.
What do you think happened to him? Probably just got killed or like.
I don't know that it was ever resolved. Maybe
It wasn't.
was.
I don't think it was. I think he would have been like 20 years old now this year.
I think the parties that could have possibly been in control of him have all been. It's all been resolved that none of them did anything. But I don't know. I'm not a detective. Maybe there's something else going on.
I remember, I think it was like the stepmom or the aunt. One of the two was like the main suspect for a while.
Of like killing him or something?
Like kidnapping him at least.
Yeah.
Not necessarily killing.
Yeah.
Oh,
But, I mean,
could
who
be.
knows? Who knows? I don't think it was ever figured out, though,
Hmm.
to be honest with you.
Seeing stuff in the news is always so scary.
Yeah.
And especially being a child with such like a developing mind.
Yes.
I remember I used to be, we lived in, I think, Fort Worth, Texas. We used to live near the cemetery, and every single day, driving to school, we'd pass the cemetery. We'd pass it. And one of the days, like, there's a lot of dirt. It was an old cemetery. I don't think it was being used.
I know all about this cemetery. It was very old.
It was not being used, right?
No, they still used it.
Okay.
But I mean, it goes back to like 18, perhaps 60 or
There's
something.
some Native American Indians or something, right?
I can. No Native
Okay.
Americans are buried there, but there is a story about Native Americans from there. But go ahead.
All right, I'll tell my bit, and then you can explain it, because it's interesting. I want to know about that. I would always pass it, and one day we're passing it, driving the car to school, and I saw like a big mound of dirt. And in my brain, I thought that this was like an abandoned cemetery, kind of. Like there were still fences, but it was all rusty. It was old.
Yeah.
And so there was a bunch of dirt, but there was no people. So like someone either, I thought in my mind, unburied a body, right? I thought that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then I remember my mom, I'm like, I think I told my mom, and she's like, people do steal grave. They're like grave robbers who like steal their jewelry that they're buried with. And so for months, I thought about like somebody going to like a dismembered or like old body, taking the jewelry off of it, looking at like the green zombie kind of, and like running off. And that's so scary as a young kid.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff
Wow.
freaks you out. You're like,
Wow.
yeah.
Did you ever sleep with your parents when you were younger?
Yeah. Okay, to be honest with you, I was a Jehovah's Witness.
What?
When I was like, my parents were raised that way. So from like the time of like birth to like 7 years old.
Mhm.
I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. I don't have nothing against them though, but
I did not know that, Spoon.
yeah. So
Well, this may be a different podcast coming up, but I don't even really understand Jehovah's Witness except that I've had many of them come to my door in my life,
yeah,
and I understand it's a very narrow definition about life after and spirituality. It's just one more religion, so I don't pretend to know what that means.
yeah,
But I know there's been a lot of people who talk about escaping it.
I can't. I'm not really in the position to explain it to you because I don't know.
Oh, I wouldn't
don't-
probably
yeah.
understand it.
I don't have enough knowledge about it
Yeah.
really because I mean I was a little kid.
So anyway, you were saying.
Anyway, so when you're a I do know this. When you're a Jehovah's Witness, you don't celebrate Christmas, or your birthday. They don't celebrate holidays like that, right?
Okay.
And I remember, you would hear about Santa Claus, even though, like you didn't. There was no Christmas, no presents, anything like that. And I remember thinking, like Santa Claus was like this scary dude that was gonna come down and like
Sure.
capture me, right? So I remember
Dude.
being like 5 years old, and because you mentioned if I ever slept with my parents, right?
Yeah.
I remember like nights I'd run across from my room to their room, and I'd think, gosh, as soon as I run out of this hallway, Santa Claus
Oh my.
is gonna be there, bro, like to get me. I mean, obviously not, but
That's
like,
terrifying.
yeah, I was like legitimately scared of Santa Claus. Well, like,
Sure.
when you have no idea, like you have no concept of it.
100%.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's such a nostalgic feeling you brought up that I have not felt in so long. You hear something in the night, dude, and you run to your parents' room, but you know the second you go out of that door, the second you have to walk down the hallway, especially when it's like a long-ass hallway, like you live on the other side of the house,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I cannot walk that right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Or like running up the stairs after you go to the bathroom at night. Like you feel like something's on your heels. I don't know.
This is a very human experience. This
Yeah.
kind of fear of the unknown, which you can't see, but you think it's out there, like out of the corner of your eye, a dark room, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
This is something we do all share. I'm positive of this.
Yeah.
it's innate. It's primal, you could say.
I think so, and I think it goes from country to country. I don't think it matters what country or anything or how you were taught or if your parents speak whatever language. I think that this fear of somebody following you or, gee, if I get out of the bed, can I make it over there? Really, I think this is pretty common.
It's so primal. Like I was just in class the other day, my mythology class I'm taking. This is so interesting. You know when like you're outside, for example, we're all in a field. If you're recording this podcast in a field, and a shadow goes across and a shadow comes, we like go like this.
Sure.
Like naturally we're like looking up, right?
Right.
There's a theory about why when the shadow passes we like duck and look up and like try and see something and like go like that. Because supposedly back in the early stages of man, 160,000 years ago onward, there was a big bird, like a big eagle, that would... Is that a truck? Yeah. There was a big-ass bird, like an eagle, that would come, and it would fly down, and it'd grab people's fucking heads with their talons, pop it off, and go to its nest and feast on your brain.
That is insane.
I learned it in school, guys, so it has to be real, right?
Crazy. Well, you know, I have sympathy for small creatures. Well, I have sympathy for all creatures.
Yeah.
But when I see a shadow go over, it's a hawk or it's a seagull or it's a bird and it's between me and the sun, I can't help but think if I was a rabbit or a mouse or a lizard or something, this would be the total fear of God because it's going to come down and get you maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think that way when I see the shadow. Of course I look up, but I'm not thinking it's going to get me.
Yes. Yeah.
But if I was a small animal, oh my God, sure.
Yeah.
This would be your big fear.
Exactly. Sorry to interrupt this conversation, but I gotta use the restroom real quick.
Okay.
All right, we took a little bathroom break. We're back now. How we feeling, guys?
I feel good.
I feel good too.
I wanted to ask you, Spellman. This question's for you. What has been the biggest regret in your life?
In my life?
Do you have any regrets, or are you a man who's going to say, nah, no regrets? Because that's how I feel a little bit. I don't really feel any big regrets, but do you have any?
I wouldn't say I have any big regrets, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean...
There's some power in that. I haven't any.
Yeah. And there's certain regrets I have. I mean, there's moments where I wish I didn't act how I did, right? There's moments where I've hadn't had confrontation with my parents or whatever that I thank God. Why did we have confrontation over that when it's like, it's not worth it really in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say like major regret in my life.
How about you, Dad? Do you have any?
I'm loaded with them.
What does that mean?
I have plenty of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But again, it's partly because of the kind of person that I am. I'm very sympathetic to others, and I realize that emotional connections are our most important things we do, at least for me, they have been. And so my regrets have to do with how I've left other relationships. I don't mean breaking up, that too, but I mean the way I've treated people or haven't treated people, or things I didn't say, or how I messed up how I said them. But basically, feeling stuff. Those are my regrets. Feeling stuff. You know, I could have done a better job. Yeah. And I don't think about them every day. I'm not consumed with it. Do I have any regrets? Sure. If I could go back and do some things different, would I? Yes.
But you can't.
But I can't. And so what I do is I try to do a living, I started to say living amends. I try to, anybody I think I might not have treated perfectly, if I run across them again, I try to treat them really good. If I ever talk to them again, I try to, be as good as I could be. So I can't do anything except take today and do better with it than I might have done 10, 15 years ago or whatever. But yeah.
Before we go on to anything else, I just got the reminder in my brain. You were talking about that graveyard. Right?
Oh, yeah.
What was that Indian story, the Native American deal?
Well, that cemetery is actually a somewhat historical cemetery.
And why is that?
It's the last recorded time that a person was scalped by the oh gosh, I want to say the
Cheyenne Indians?
no, they were Apaches.
Hmm.
And it was a woman, and she was like 20. She was like a teenager to 20, 21. And anyway, the Indians got her and scalped her, and she was buried in that cemetery. And sometimes, they scalped because that's how they thought they could deprive you of a better life after, not because they're just cruel.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Wait,
it killed her though, and she died, and she's buried there. And sometimes historical people would come to that cemetery because there were several people from pre-Civil War days who were buried there. Who there's markers and stuff, and people who care about those kinds of historical things would make a pilgrimage there to, I don't know, do a rubbing off some stone or something. Take a picture of,
Yeah.
the guy that, was, I don't know, Kit Carson's brother or something. I don't know. Just something important, like that.
Mm-hmm. Some historical connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All this kind of zombie, old gravy things gets me thinking. The only ghost that I feel like I could have ever said I saw, and I don't even believe it was a ghost, but the only time I ever really hallucinated, and I'm not on drugs or anything, but like the only time I ever hallucinated was when I was laying downstairs when we lived in California, and I used to fall asleep watching the TV. So my parents and I, we slept upstairs. Well, they had one room, I had another room in Tahoe. And then downstairs we had a stairway, and then we had a couch that I watched in TV. I'd fall asleep on the couch and while watching TV, and you could see the stairs from the angle. And one night I was sitting there, and I just watched a scary movie or a scary YouTube video. And usually Dad would come downstairs and be like, all right, time to go up at 2 a.m. or something, or whenever he got up to go to the bathroom. And I remember I seen a figure walk downstairs, and I thought it was, thought it was him. And so I turned it off. I'm like, okay, I'll come up in a second. And then I realized, and I look at it, I go, Dad, and there's nothing there. And I know for a fact it wasn't you, because I immediately got up and went to your room to see if that was you. Nope. It was real in the sense I really saw it, but I think I was half dreaming, half awake. But I saw a figure walk down, looked just like him, but it wasn't him.
Are you sure? You probably were just dreaming.
I probably was just dreaming, but I saw it, but I was just dreaming probably, but hopefully it was just dreaming, because that's scary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in the Ouija board, Spellman?
No, I stay away from that kind of stuff. I don't really like any of that kind of. Freaks me out.
The Ouija board?
That kind of whole talking to dead people thing. Just I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Opening yourself up to that kind of stuff.
Mm.
I don't know. It's just not my thing. I'm not judging anyone that does it. I just wouldn't. I'm just not.
Maybe we need to do a video on it.
I would not partake.
Maybe we need to go to the abandoned cemetery or the park at night, light some candles,
No.
hold hands, and,
No.
and talk to dead people.
Nope, that freaks me out. I can't do it.
I think the fact it freaks you out would probably be a good reason to do it.
Yeah, it'd be good for the content, but for my well-being.
Yeah. No,
we got to sacrifice ourselves, Spellman.
I think in Spellman's defense, it's important to acknowledge our limits and what we feel like we cannot do. We need to stand up and say it, And
Yeah.
that's one that I agree. I'm nervous about dealing with. Could I do it? Yeah. But I don't want to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, anybody could do it.
Yeah.
I mean.
But I'm not. No, I don't like messing with things that might be too dangerous.
Too far, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one thing that I know, me and my dad, when we filmed the podcast before, whether it was with Age Gap, the name of the podcast before me and you, Spellman, started doing it,
Yeah.
or the episode of Ins and Outs with Britt Brown, we talked about the draft both times. And I think that's an interesting topic to talk about. Spellman, if there was a draft, Do you think you'd be able to get out of it because you have cerebral palsy?
Yeah, I would.
Or do you think you'd still be drafted, but you may do a more like a office job?
No, I don't think you have to. You don't. I think you're exempt. I'm pretty sure.
Damn, because I know people would cut off their fingers back in the Vietnam War
Yeah,
so that they wouldn't be able to do it.
I'm pretty sure you're exempt. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
If there was a draft, would you join or would you use your exemption?
If I'm being honest, I would use my exemption.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Not that I don't support. Not that I don't support the military or anything, because I do. But
You just don't.
I would just not.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless I absolutely had to. Worst comes to worst. You know, like.
They
then I
need
would.
spelling on the battlegrounds, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe you could be a. If I ever did join the army, this is what I'd do. I had a plan. If World War III starts, this is what I'm doing. I am becoming a translator. You know, I'm signing up before the draft, so that means I can pick the school I want to go to, hopefully. And I'll become a translator, go learn like Arabic or something, and then go decode messages, stuff like that. I know they have a translator, but go talk to people on the radio, see how they're doing, hit them up, maybe tell them to, like, what are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
hit them up, WID to the air, like the people.
No, that sounds like a really good plan. There's a lot of things that need to be done besides squeezing a trigger and laying out there in the dirt.
Yeah.
Trust me. In fact, when you study battles and military history, the majority of people are just, so many of them who are interesting are doing things that don't sound overly interesting. I mean, they're evaluating telecommunications. They're, interpreting photographs. They're just doing different things, Anyway, whatever. Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Here, Dad, do you have any questions for us? Because now we're done with everything that we had. It was kind of being put on the spot this episode, so shout out to you guys for watching it, and thank you, Dad, for getting on. Because Spellman lives, how far do you live away? 40 minutes?
35, 40 minutes away.
35, yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have any questions for us? Or any topics you'd like to discuss that's in recent events that you might want to talk to a young generation about?
Yeah.
I just want, there are, but, we don't have enough time for all of them. But my question would be,
I do have another.
are you more hopeful or more concerned about how you see the future unspooling ahead of you? Are you optimistic, I guess, or do you feel that you're cautiously optimistic and kind of pessimistic, or how hopeful are you, I guess, because that's really, really important that you have this sense about things.
Like you mean with like the state of the world?
Well, I mean
the
more.
country, or
Well, no, we can't do too much about the world,
Yeah.
but I just mean about yourself and what you see yourself doing, and are you hopeful about your own futures, I guess?
Oh yeah.
And
I
then
am.
and then by being hopeful about your own future, do you have any are there components that you have to have in that to make it good? I mean, are you seeing yourself married with children, or you see yourself? No, I mean,
This is the question we ask every single guest. What's your future like?
Oh.
Spellman, take it.
I mean, I see. I'm very hopeful for my future. To answer your first question.
good.
Because I just think that there's a long path ahead, and I can really kind of do whatever I want with it. And for my future, I don't really know what I see yet. I'm kind of at this like crossroads kind of thing, but I really enjoy like doing this kind of podcast stuff, and I mean, there's a lot of branches that you can branch off from this other than just filming like we're doing right now. So, I mean, for my future, I really see something in this kind of space, and I'm definitely hopeful about it and positive.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, my future looks like going to college, probably Oregon State, seeing what life is like there, maybe continuing the podcast, seeing where it's at the in July when we finish this year of high school. see where it's at, see if it's been profitable in the sense of like mental, like did I enjoy doing it? Do I want to continue doing it? Because I was talking to some of my buddies just today, Miguel Pimienta at U of O, or at Oregon. And he was just saying like, dude, there's so much work. Like, it's not really extremely hard if you give it time, but you have to give it time. So when I think about how much time I put in the podcast, I either really need to focus my time more, and I need to stop, giving into like shit like social media, because I'm already off some stuff, but I could be off it even more. Like, I could totally delete my Instagram and stuff like that, and really focus on what I'm doing. Or when I go to college, I'm really gonna have to maybe put the podcast aside and focus on college. But once I get there, I'll see what it's like, and I'll follow what I love to do. And I think just following what you love to do, that's the answer, really.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. It's been said by many people. The Beatles talked about that quite a bit. A lot of people have the answers are simple. Honestly, they are. Follow your heart about things. And it can't go too wrong. Try to treat people decent.
Yeah.
The one question I did have, Dad, is since you're so old, you've seen a variety of women, right? You've seen a variety of women out here, Dad.
Couple of them.
A couple of them. He's being modest. He was a dog. No, he wasn't a dog. But when you look at the way, kind of, has the way society has viewed women changed since the time that you were a young man, and then now when we're young men, and it's changed how, how has been getting girls, for example. I'll make it specific. Do you think getting girls, like finding a wife, do you think it was harder now, or the same? What is it?
Wow. Well, so of course, it depends on the guy in that instance, but
Yeah.
I think it's about the same. I think finding a quality individual you want to spend time with is always going to be a little bit of a magical thing and a hard thing to find. And you might find that person in your 6th grade class and carry along a relationship for many years and finally marry them. I've heard of that. In fact, I've known somebody who's done that. But I think for most of us, we bounce along and we're always looking, and we're just it's hard. I think it's the same now as it was then. People look different. People expect different things. You have to use different language. You have to be more careful. But honestly, I think this is really the same. I do.
I love that take. I do.
I agree with that.
I think it is the same, and I think there's a lot of problems that, or the ways we express ourselves is the same, right? Or no, the way we express ourselves is different, but the things that happen are really similar.
Yeah.
Like social media, for example, going back to that, it's just a way people communicate now. It's no different than when people wrote themselves, or when wrote letters or did anything like that. It's a means of communication. And sure, it's faster, but people still feel the same way. Like if I was in war, right, and my wife was in the United States and I'm in Iraq or something, she'll text me and she'll feel this love for me. Hopefully she loves me. She's not cheating on me.
Yeah.
She would still feel that love as if she was writing me a letter. All right, that love's the same deal.
Yeah.
It's still an emotion.
Yeah.
And it's no different. I was just writing in my mythology class again. This is coming up. We were writing about our ordeals in our life. Have you had any ordeals? And I was lucky enough to say that I haven't had any. I have had some, but like not big ones. Like my parents are both alive. They're married. I feel like I have a pretty good life. There's not too much to complain about.
Yeah.
But so I was talking about social media, and again, that led me to talk about the extremes, and it made me refer to a story that I remember, an experience I remember. I was at a campfire, and there's a big mound of dirt, right? It was kind of like a party. And there's this kid who got on top of the mound of dirt and was pretty drunk, whatever. And another kid pulled out his phone, and he was recording it on Snapchat, and he's like, yo, do a backflip for Snap. So the kid does a backflip and ends up like falling down. He doesn't hurt himself, but he does a backflip. And I wrote, that the kid who egged him on said, do it for Snap. But if it was 30 years ago, the kid would have just said, do it for the memories or something like that. And the kid would have probably likely done the backflip anyways.
Yeah.
It's like the words we say change, but like the intention behind it, it's super similar.
Yeah.
There's a long way to get that point, but
There was.
No, but I get
mean,
it.
yeah.
And I think you have a good point there. Listen, I think that the fight is then and now with loneliness
and will be.
and connections. And so whether it's a letter or whether it's punching something in on the phone, we want to make human contact. You know, you have different means now. You know, I can be nostalgic about letters and everything, but the truth is it did do the same thing. It's somebody communicating with you and your mind imagining what they're saying and interpreting it. But we're alone. See, this is the thing. We're
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
And that's not a real positive thing to say.
No.
But it is true. And so any human connections we have that have meaning become more and more important in your life. When you're young and you have zillions and zillions of contacts, you get pretty immune to that feeling. You're like, whatever, there's other guys, gals, parties, etc.
Yeah.
As you get older, it gets super narrow, and you treasure and appreciate your relationships more. So I think social media, I mean, it says right there in the first word, it's really, it's a way to interact with others. And if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. But just interact with people any way you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Just don't go isolate and be some hermit out somewhere. I've met those guys. They're not happy, okay?
Yeah.
So stay in the fight and fight the loneliness and treat people decent. This is it. Treat people decent and you'll get treated decent back.
Some are of these hermits, though. It makes me think about J.D. Salinger, the author. What didn't he go off? And I know there's some controversy around him, but he's an example of somebody who kind of went off into their own life, their hermit type, and kind of locked themselves in a room. And I'm thinking about the guy who wrote all those songs. What was his name? He locked himself in his room for 2 or 3, 4 years and only played the guitar, right? And he didn't really go out. He went out for coffee and groceries, but that's all he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ended up writing all these good songs, or with J.D. Salinger writing all these insane books.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes that hermit vibe can be good if you're willing to sacrifice the social aspect of your life for your work. And that's something a lot of people say, oh, that could be, I totally do that. But when it's months, no, let's go like this. When it's hours by yourself, and when it's days by yourself, and then when it's weeks, and then a month, and then 2 months, and then 8 months, and then 10 years, but then when you die or when you're at the end of your life, then you all have all this work. It's what's more important? Do we value our work over our social connections? If so, well, clearly some people do, and the majority don't.
Well, I think this is an entire podcast, that statement right there, because I think it depends on the person. A real sincere artist might say it's worth it, but you have to also, and again, this is where I'm the humanist, I think about that person's kids, wives, neighbors who don't get to see them. There's another side of that. So that hermit who goes out there and creates fantastic work, there's the other side of it is there's all kinds of maybe kids or loved ones who are really getting nothing from that person. So it's a selfish thing to do that, but sometimes it is necessary. And I know a lot about J.D. Salinger, so we will talk about that some other day, but I think it does make sense to go off on your own sometimes and get the work done, absolutely. And just let the time be what it is for you to get it done. But it's pretty lonesome to do that, but it's definitely worthy of doing if that's the kind of creative person that you are. And that's the way a lot of creativity works. You have to be alone. You just have to get away from everybody and just do it. And it's not going to be convenient. It'll never be convenient. Somebody will always say, God, you're gone so long. Yeah, I know. Well, it's your life and it's your work, and so yeah.
It is sad, and it is sad on the people, and it's sad on themselves. But like, sad is like a concept. It's like if I am working and I'm making these beautiful pieces of art, whether it's actual painting, whether it's writing, whether it's video or whatever it is, if I'm willing to like sacrifice a lot of social, you mean kids, wife or partner, friends, school maybe, and work, like, and then all for it to like maybe like the work that I'm doing, maybe not even like work out, and I don't get like recognized for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people who do that, who spend their entire lives, but their life working, and they're never recognized, and we don't know their name, and that's crazy.
Well, their life is still worth it. That's the thing. Their life is still worth it. And but you're going to have to find that out on your own. But there are wonderful stories about people who did that exact thing. They worked their whole life at something. No one knows about them. They died, and posthumously somebody came across their work, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. But it happens like that sometimes.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. We can't do everything for fame and money. We just cannot. We have to do it because we feel compelled to do it.
Yeah.
And that's got to be enough. Yeah.
See, I don't feel bad for the people who chose that life kind of hermiting. I feel bad only when they were chasing the money and they didn't get it. Then I'm like, dude, you're dumb. But when it's like somebody who really chased what they wanted and like sacrificed their social to do something that they love, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they can't live without doing. I'm not sure if J.D. Salinger, this author that we're talking about, felt this way. But I'm assuming that he loved writing and he couldn't live without it. He was so addicted to it. He loved his writing more than he loved his children, if he had any.
I don't know. You'll have to research that on your own, because that's a big one for me to just say yes, that's right. I think it's a two-edged sword on that thing.
Well, we can replace it with anybody, but like with these people who these like extreme kind of work ethic people, they love what they're doing. There's no argument about it, because if they didn't, they wouldn't necessarily be doing it.
Sure.
But all I'm saying is that the people who do that, who just do it for the money, fuck you, basically. Like, not fuck you, but like, I don't really care,
Yeah.
But the people who do it because they love it, that's like respectable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well,
I agree.
maybe you'll turn out to be one of those.
Hermitel, man.
No, one of those very motivated individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I agree.
Yeah, that could be fun, doing that and living that. But I don't know if I could be a hermit. That's pretty tough.
Yeah,
No.
probably. All right.
Anyway, so what was that, episode 11?
That was episode 11.
Episode 11, that was it. Dad, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Like I
Thank
said,
you.
we had some issues getting everybody in here, but Britt Brown clutches up for us.
He did.
He's a reliable man.
Yep.
You tell him, yo, can you show up? He'll show up for you.
He's there. He's there
Mm.
for you.
Mm.
That's what a good man does, huh?
Hey.
Spellman, dab me up. Hey, that's a wrap, guys. Hope y'all
Wrap.
enjoyed it. Dad, do you have anything to say?
I don't. Just it's been fun being with everybody. See you again sometime.
Sounds good.
Later.